Yesterday when I was here with Jim, kind of going through the sermon, and he was showing me around the church, a couple came in and they said that they were married here 39 years ago to the day. And I thought it was really beautiful, and it's really cool to see this community that's being a faithful witness to Jesus within the larger community of Magnolia, and has been for so long. This morning I'm going to be preaching on Psalm 121. After graduating high school, I kind of took a gap year, and I went off to hike the Appalachian Trail, which runs from kind of northern Maine down to Georgia. And this was going to take me several months, but within the first few days I had met quite a few people along the way, a pharmacist from Switzerland and a philosophy professor from Kansas, and I was making friends and making community along the way. But by my third night, I found myself all alone. I had pushed on a little bit further to the next campsite. And this was okay. I knew that there were going to be nights like this where I would probably be by myself. And so I made my dinner and I went to sleep, but I woke up to a startling reality. It was pitch black. There was no moon, and there was this roaring sound. There was a thunderstorm that was just pelting the top of this tin roof, and it was so loud felt like I couldn't hear myself think. And in this dazed confusion, I'd completely forgotten where I was. I'd forgotten that I was hiking the Appalachian Trail. And so I lay there petrified. I wasn't sure if I was having a nightmare or if I was awake and like living in some hellish reality where I couldn't see and it was too loud to think, And I just felt thrown into this situation that I didn't understand. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where I was going. And I think life is a little bit like this as well. To borrow a term from the philosopher Martin Heidegger, we experience a kind of thrownness. We're thrown into the world. We don't know where we've come from. We don't know where we are. We don't know where we're going. And we're forced to just grope about, grapple with the realities that we face. Heidegger wasn't the only thinker to say something kind of like this. Nietzsche captured this sensation through his portrayal of the madman who, lamenting the death of God, cries out, "Are we not straying as through infinite nothing? Do we not feel the breath of empty space?" C.S. Lewis called this an inconsolable longing. He said, "We long for something that this world just can't quite satisfy. Something's not quite right, but we don't know exactly what it is, and we can't quite find an answer." St. Augustine called this restlessness. Have you experienced this before? And I mean, on a little bit deeper of a level than just waking up one night and not being quite sure where you are. Although that's pretty terrifying as well, and I can attest to that. Do you have a suspicion that you're in trouble? That you might always be on the cusp of danger? That you've done something wrong that you can't quite recover from? That your life's just a little bit out of control? If you don't get it together soon, everything is going to fall apart. Well, if this is you, I have good news for you. You're not alone. I think we've all been there at some point. And I think that this is the human condition that the psalmist presupposes. The psalmist presupposes that we're in a condition of needing help. We need help, whether because of the things we've done or things that have been done to us or just the circumstances we find ourselves in. At some point or another, we need help. We need rescue. We need deliverance. Let's look at verse 1. It says, "I lift my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come from?" So hills are loaded with religious significance in the Hebrew Bible. Let's try to take a moment to enter the worldview of the author. For the writers of the Hebrew Bible, the earth was the ground here beneath our feet, and the heavens were the sky above. The birds fly through the heavens. The heavens aren't some galaxy far, far away. They're not some different dimension. It's just the sky, okay? And so if that's how you view the world, if that's your cosmology, then something really interesting happens when you have a hill. Because the hill is where the earth pokes up into the heavens, and the heavens and the earth kind of meet on this hill. See what I'm saying? Now, for this reason, the hills around Israel were just scattered with shrines and altars to various gods. And we can still find the remains of these today. But the people of Israel, with their strict monotheists, and they were only to worship the one true God on the one temple on Mount Zion, right? And so another point of a piece of important information about this psalm is it's part of a collection of psalms called the Psalms of Ascent. Now, the Psalms of Ascent, people kind of think that they're like a little mini hymn book that pilgrims would sing on their way from wherever they lived up to Jerusalem, up to Mount Zion for the festivals. And so it's painting this picture of the Psalm's kind of assuming this picture of there's a pilgrim who's on a journey, right? They're going up to Mount Zion. And the Psalm says, and what does the Psalm say? It says, I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? The pilgrim needs help, and what does he do? Does he lift his eyes up to the one holy hill, Mount Zion, full of splendor and glory? It would be really easy for the Psalm to say that, but that's not what the Psalm says. The Psalm says, I lift my eyes to the hills, plural. The pilgrim's not looking to Mount Zion. The pilgrim is looking to all of the other gods. The pilgrim's in a state of help. His field his crops are not doing good, and he sees the hill with the shrine to Asherah, the fertility goddess, and he says, Asherah, what sacrifice must I make for my crop to be good this year? Or his child is sick, and he sees the hill to Eshmun, the god of healing, and he says, what do you have a spell that I could give my son that would heal them? The psalmist is in a state of needing help, and he looks to the other gods. He's, in a sense, saying, which God is going to save me? And I think the temptation for us is to look at this person and say, what a silly, odd, ancient, superstitious person who thinks that the right spell or the right sacrifice will bring health and wealth and prosperity. We would never do such a primitive thing like that, would we? Well, I think it might look a little bit different, but I think we do this all the time. We might not literally sacrifice our children to Baal, but we might be so scared that we're not going to have enough that we spend all of this time at work chasing a promotion, that we, in the throes of all of it, we just forget to spend time with our families. I probably shouldn't talk about politics at a church I've never been to before, but if you think electing the right person is just going to usher in this age of peace and prosperity, I tend to think you might be looking to a hill. We might be looking to hills when we do that, hills that won't provide. Now, there's always this danger in the Christian life of having this big Sunday morning gospel where life's ultimate questions of salvation and whatnot are answered. We're focused on Mount Zion, but then for life's middle problems, just the fears and failures of everyday life, we look to the hills to the right and the left. We've got a chaotic life and things seem out of control, and so we turn to a pop psychologist who says you just need discipline, you just need order, you just need to make your bed in the morning and everything will fall into place. Or we have a busy fall and we say we just need a weekend in the Whites skiing, we just need a weekend away. I don't know about you, but in my experience, every time I try to get away on a vacation because I've been too busy, all the things that I've been stuffing down just come up, and then it's a miserable trip. What I'm trying to say is that we need help. We need help, but we look in the wrong places. Time and time again, we look to things to fix our problems that simply just won't provide. It's a hopeless endeavor. We look to gods that won't deliver. So we've seen that we need help. We've seen that we're prone to look in the wrong places. This brings me to my next point. If we need help, where can we find help? What metaphorical hill can we go to find help? And what the psalm says is it turns out that the answer isn't a hill at all. It says in verse 2, my help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and the earth. the pilgrim doesn't have to get to Zion to receive help. The one who made all of the hills and the heavens is his help wherever he's at. He's not just another God on another hill beside all the other gods that you can choose from to find help. It's not like he's a leader amongst a peer group of gods. It's not even that he's like the best God and then there's these lower level gods that can fix the small problems. He's the fountain of it all. He's the creator of the heavens and the earth. This means that wherever and whenever and wherever we are, the one who made us and made all of creation, the one in whom we live and move and have our being, is able to help us. If we ascend into heaven, he's there. If we choose to make our bed in Sheol, he's there. You can't run away from the presence of the Creator. You can't, like Jonah, go try to take a ship to Tarshish. He'll leave the 99 and go after the one. If we sin and it abounds, well, his grace abounds all the more. We can't be too far gone for the God who wakes us up each morning and fills our lungs with air. So we've seen that we need help. We've seen that we look for help in the wrong places. We've seen that the Creator is the one who can truly help us. What does it look like for this God to help us? Well, I think verses 3 through 6 are going to kind of take this idea of this Creator God who's able to help, and it's going to apply it to the life of the pilgrim. So in verse 3, it says, he won't let your foot stumble. Now, anyone who's walked a considerable distance, say on the Appalachian Trail, knows how dangerous it can be for your foot to stumble. A rolled ankle or slipping on a wet stone can result in some pretty serious injuries. I had a friend who slipped on a rock in a river and he cut his foot and it got infected and he didn't do anything about it. And before long, I guess the infection got into his bloodstream and he had a little red line going up the back of his calf. And we called him Redline for the rest of the trip. So these things can be dangerous. This is the picture that the psalm is painting. Verses 5 and 6 describe the dangers faced on a journey both at day and at night. In the area around Jerusalem, the sun could be especially dangerous, although we might not understand that because days are getting shorter and shorter here, and we're really wishing that the sun would stay out longer. But if a New Englander were to write this, they might say something like, "The tick will not bite you by day," or "the snow by night," So this is the picture that it's painting. There's a pilgrim. He's headed for the temple. Remember, it's a psalm of ascent. He's in need of help, and he's looking around at the other hills. Now, what does God do? What's he going to do? Does he just pluck this guy up and plop him down at Mount Zion? There's this movie, The Night of the Museum, that has Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. And Ben Stiller's the security guard, and all of the little creatures in the museum come to life at night. And Owen Wilson is just this little, tiny person in a display in the museum. He's doing something wrong or he needs help. I can't remember how exactly it goes, but Ben Stiller just picks him up by the back of his collar and puts him exactly where he wants him. And Owen Wilson's like, "Don't manhandle me. I don't like to be manhandled. Put me down," And so is that what God does? Does he just manhandle us? Does he just pick us up and plop us down when we need help? No, it's a journey we participate with him on. We have to take the step, but he won't let our foot slip. We have to venture out into the sun, but he won't let the sun strike us. There are going to be dark and scary nights, but he will be with us. This week, as I reflected on my own journey, pilgrimage life, if you will, I was thinking of times that God has been at work keeping me. And this one story came to mind of about 3 years ago. My wife and I were just blindsided by this incredibly hurtful situation with a ministry that we were a part of. And I don't have time to go into all the details of it. But it was a mess. And we felt really betrayed. And this happened like a week and a half after our wedding. And so it was this amazing time of getting married, and we had all these plans to work with these people, and it just all came crashing down. And during that same time, there was a lot of things that I thought I knew about God that I was realizing just weren't true. And a lot of the things that I wanted to believe, I couldn't believe, and I didn't really know what I thought about a lot of this. And so I look back on that time and I just think all of the ingredients for me to just kind of leave this whole thing behind were there. Incredible pain and hurt from like all of my mentors in the faith. And I didn't know what I believed about anything. And I'm looking back, I'm just like, why am I in seminary now? Like, how is that what happened? And I think that God was keeping me. I think that he was guarding me. And when I look back on that, I actually am like, we should have never been a part of that ministry. And he knew exactly what he was doing. And it was painful at the time. It was hard. I felt like I needed help. But he was there and he was working through it. And he was bringing me to the place that he wanted me to be. I want to close with a story from C.S. Lewis's The Horse and His Boy. This story is about a talking horse named Bree and this little boy named Shasta. And the story kind of chronicles their journey out of captivity. So the boy has kind of never known his own parents, and he kind of works for this guy, and the horse is a talking horse, but he can't talk to anybody because he's a horse. And so they both need to escape, okay? And they go on this journey, and they just meet trial after trial. And the whole journey, they're just kind of stalked by these lions. Everywhere they turn, there's lions kind of on the prowl. And one night they're sleeping in this graveyard, and they just are kept awake all night by these lions howling out in the wilderness. And towards the end of the story, Shasta he's discouraged, and he's feeling sorry for himself. He's been left alone from like the other people he was with, and so it's dark, and he's alone, and he's discouraged. And suddenly he starts to hear like these footsteps, and it seems like there's like a large invisible person like walking with him, but he can't see him, and he's not quite sure. And then this person breathes on him, and then he starts telling this person of all the trials that he faced. How, they were chased by lions, they were forced to swim for their lives. The night they spent among the tombs. He talked about the beasts howling in the desert. He told them of the heat and the thirst that they faced in the desert. He told them how they were almost at their destination when another set of lions chases them and injures one of his friends. And finally he just says, "It's been so long since I've had something to eat." And the voice replies, and Shasta's saying, "How unfortunate am I?" And the voice says, "I do not call you unfortunate." And the boy's like, "What do you mean? Were you not listening to the story?" He says, "Do you not think at least it was bad luck to meet so many lions along the way? Like, who runs into lions on a daily basis?" And the voice responds, "There was only one lion." And Shasta's like, "No, I told you about 5 different sets of lions." And then the voice says, I was the lion who forced you to join with Erebus. I was the cat who comforted you among the houses of the dead. I was the lion who drove the jackals from you while you slept. I was the lion who gave the horses the new strength of fear for the last mile so that you should reach King Loon in time. And I was the lion you do not remember who pushed the boat in which you lay, a child near death, so that it came to shore where a man sat, wakeful at midnight, to receive you. All along the way, this boy met trial after trial. And he doesn't see Aslan, the voice, along the way of his journey. But Aslan was with him the whole way, keeping him, guarding him, bringing him to himself. This is how the Lord keeps us. I invite you to take some time this week to reflect on all the ways that the Lord has been your help. Look at the ways he's been with you in the past. By doing this, we might be able to better see him in the present. The God in whom we live and move and have our being is with us in our going out and our coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Thank you.